Welcome to your weekly source of content inspiration. This is Ryan Reacts, the show in which I, Ryan, break down how epic fucking content is made. And this week we have 3 fantastic edits. These ones right here. And of course, I'm giving you your weekly source of hook inspiration. Now, if you're watching this, the chance is very high that it is already 2026. Happy New Year to you. Over the next year, we are doubling down on our own content hard. So if at any point in this episode you catch yourself thinking, wow, this is fucking great, consider smashing that subscribe button. And with that being said, let's dive into the first fucking video of today. Let's go. "13 fucking seconds, that was insanely fast, but there is so much in here to break down. To be quite honest, if you want to create something like this, you're gonna have to start by being a little bit crazy, because in order to be able to come up with this stuff is gonna be a challenge on its own. Let's try and break it down to the best of your ability. So, this in of itself is actually not that hard to do. It's pretty simple. So, you have 3 layers. The first layer is the original clip. That's going to be filmed like this. The second layer is the clip behind her here, which you can see appear. And then the third layer is the girl itself. Now, obviously the girl itself is probably filmed on the original clip and then rotoscoped out in order to be able to layer on top of each other. You're going to put a crop animation on the second layer and make it appear from here, and you're going to animate it to basically 1/2 crop upwards and 1/2 crop downwards. So from really thin to really big. And that is how you would create this first shot. And then you switch the frames on the second layer just in time to create this little glitch effect as we're going into a new segment of the video. Simple, but fucking sick. Color grade on that one, by the way, it was crazy. So that part. So fucking good. You can actually create this effect on the face in Canva. There is a setting when you go to the texture button that will ultimately allow you to choose a setting of your pleasing. You can do this with paper, with like a charcoal effect, with like a highlighter / glitchy effect. Just choose whatever you like, and that's gonna give you this like papery effect feel to it. Obviously you have to layer it with the other images on top to ultimately create something, in this case, really fucking creepy. How I would go about doing this, I would probably go about creating it in 3 layers, and you just make sure that you cut it perfectly. So if you have the original layer, you want one cut to be made like this, and then another cut here wherever the guy came in, so that they line up perfectly, then that you don't actually see a seam. This is obviously critical. And then you make them appear in by adding the exposure effect, or contrast and exposure, I think it's called in Premiere, and you make it really bright and then you flash it back down. Now, if you really want to add to the effect, you could add a white color matte as an overlay to really like make it flash, and then just fade the whiteness out and bring the image through in such a way that you've keyframed it. Let's go. Now this is in of itself also not super difficult to do. It's just a layer of videos that she's actually in some cases already used quite a lot. It's just the keyframing is hard. So you just layer a bunch of videos every 2-3 frames on top of each other. So you have to imagine you have a bunch of clips that appear every 3 frames. It changes the clip, and then you would imagine that this is full frame behind the image she has here. And then what you do is you put a white color matte on top, and then you create an opacity on that white color matte, and you basically keyframe the shape of that color matte to move forward every couple of frames. So in this case, literally every 1 frame, and you move it further and further down in order to give this effect as if it's moving downhill. This is just more of the same effects added back in. Super well done, it's very sick. This is her rotoscope back in, and they chose, for whatever reason, to make it feel as if she's fading in rather than just appearing, to crop the top of her head away and then in the next frame add her back in fully. And this helps you redirect your focus from looking here beforehand to looking here now as we move to the next scene. I love the addition of like the red circle here. I mean, she could have chosen to just have it on the yellow color mat, but somehow the contrast of the red ultimately really makes this pop. So figuring out how to use color mats in your videos could be a good hack to stand out. Bro, broke my fucking brain. Okay, on to the next one.
I never run out of ideas, and here's how. You see, I seek inspiration all the time. Everywhere. From everything. And even when that isn't enough, I change my environment. Isolate myself and capture nature in 4K. Take photos using the first pocket Hasselblad camera. And get back to creating and not just consuming.
Ah, sick. I also love the fact that Hasselblad have brought out their own phone camera, apparently. That's pretty crazy. In case you don't know, Hasselblad is the type of camera. It is very underrated.
I never run out of ideas. And
I love his use of like text and the coloring of the text to make it stand out.
here's how.
This is also sick. Like, it's super well done. And what you'll see, it's kind of like the clone effect, except he's only filmed himself like 2 or 3, maybe 4 times. That's probably these original images behind him. And then he's just copied them multiple times and placed them at different areas. And I think these are probably AI generated, judging by the fact that they lose a little bit of his definition of his face. If I would have been him in this situation, I probably would have duplicated myself even more to really sell it. But given how fast the transition happens, you almost don't see it. And so you gotta ask yourself what your priorities are, whether you want to use AI for this stuff. Either way, it's done very sick. He's added a bit of glow to the how in this case. You can create this glow effect by selecting the Premiere effect called glow. You can also do it a little bit by using the shadow on text and then setting it to a really high blur. It will create that similar halation around the text at least. But in order to have it, I don't know, shine properly, you're probably looking more at using the glow effect. So this was fucking crazy. What a transition, bro.
You see, I seek inspiration
Fucking sick.
all the time. Everywhere. From everything. And even when that isn't enough, I change my...
This shot here, I think it was just a wider shot, just zoomed in. So, right, so this isn't necessarily rocket science. It could be that he extended it with AI. If so, it's done very well, but it does look very kind of native still. So I imagine that this was the original shot and he's just moved it in. And at the good timing, using the right music, he's then zoomed it out to give himself space for the new text to appear. The grading on this also slaps. The way the fucking reds and the cut pops through here, like, bro, you did amazing. The last one is obviously a match cut. The way to do this perfectly, I have explained many times before, but in case you're new here, basically you want an image of a product. So imagine this is the bottle. You line it up like this, and then you pretty much either do this with AI and replace the background in 10 multiple different ways, or you make sure that you take your camera into different backgrounds and then line up the bottle more or less equally each time. And then in post, through means of guides and opacity, line the bottle up perfectly. And that's how you create a perfect match cut. I love the spinning of the text, man. This was probably my favorite. Sick, sick, sick. And speaking of sick footage, it's time for Hooks of the Week, baby. In case you don't know, I've made it a recurring segment in the show to give you guys inspiration on arguably the most difficult parts of creating any kind of content, and that is the hook. Now, I've collected 3 clips which stood out to me this week, whereby the hook was just flippin' fantastic. So let's show them. The first one. Painting in the grade. Now, in this case, his use of a visual prop, a brush, was done fantastically, and to be honest, it's not hard to do. You just have to desaturate your image and then match keyframing the saturation along with the movement of the brush, and make sure to use a mask when you bring it back in. Hook 2. The use of music combined with macro shots. Now, I've been seeing this a ton in a variety of different forms. This case, using a close-up of a banana, the music, and the toaster within the space of the first second, you've already given the person 3 shots to try and decipher what's going on, as well as the text. That ultimately, that is the best way to hook someone. And then finally,
about 1 year ago, I made a promise to myself that when I moved to San Francisco, if I hated my job, I would leave. Listen back to
filming yourself out in public doing some sort of sport. In this case, skateboarding. You could film yourself biking, you could film yourself running, but doing something outside of just, ironically, talking to camera could be a creative way to capture attention. And that is the hook of the week. Final video of today. Fucking hell. If you use the tool Higgsfield.ai, there is a function in there whereby you can create this transition. What you will need in order to make the transition is the end of the first frame, which in this case is probably this, and you will need the beginning of the next frame you want it to transition to, which is probably here. And then you need to put in the, I think, bird prompt within Higgsfield, and it will create the transition for you. That is how crazy ass AI transition is made. And as far as I know, I think Higgsfield, at least first transition, is indeed for free. So you can try it. Tag me in the comments if you do. Now then, using the monster can to recapture the attention, because right now you're focused here, which means people need to refocus their eyes to somewhere else on screen. So making the monster can pop in here before adding in the background was genius. Also here, continuing until the can is fully out of screen is so well done. So this is obviously just 4 different shots layered on top of each other. So 1, 2, 3, and then bringing in yourself again on a bigger shot. The thing is that these shots, the layered shots, have already established what is coming up. So the moment the rest comes in, it feels seamless. Breaking down how he does this transition. So rotoscoped the weight bar out in this case, and then keyframe just the weight bar to move in from left to right. That is basically what you see here, right? So it's moving in, and then here we make the transition back to the original. And he's obviously left himself as the layer on top. So you basically just have to think in layers, and then you can figure this out. This is also just fucking smart. Actually super easy to do, right? So you put your camera at the same spot, you do not move it, you lock in the exposure, you take a picture. Next frame, you've moved down the pin on the weight thing, you've taken a new picture, you move down, take a new picture. Super easy to do. Afterwards, you line them all up in Premiere, and then you have this transition. I mean, this guy just uses the same tricks over and over again, but it works so fucking well. So here he's just basically probably even done this with a opacity tool, the ellipse function, created a circle around the logo on his hoodie, and then in the next frame on the beat, made him appear. Again, here, same principle as with the weight rack. He's just taken it from this rotoscope, just that one out, keyframed it, in this case to go from right to left rather than left to right. And the moment it lines up, boom, we move to the next clip. Judging by how this zooms in here, this is the last frame, and again used Higgsfield with some sort of prompt to say like Superman exit or something like this, in order for him to do the last one. Basically, this was a creative use of AI and slick editing techniques to ultimately make a really enjoyable video, and that was slightly different from all of the other trends that I've seen. Well done, my guy. Keep me inspired. With that being said, we've come to the end of the first episode of 2026. As I said at the beginning of this episode, if you enjoyed yourself, if you at all thought I learned something new about content, heck, maybe you even didn't and you just enjoyed my enthusiasm about content, consider smashing that subscribe button. I will see you in the next one.